If you've ever written anything, you've probably heard of the term writer's block. It's the big bad monster that swallows up stories and crushes dreams. Well, in this video, I'm here to tell you, writer's block, it's not real. Hi, I'm LD Jones, otherwise known as LDJ Writes, and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I'm a fantasy and science fiction writer who has completed over 8 first drafts. So believe me when I say, I know writer's block, and I also know that it's not real. In today's video, I'll be sharing with you guys some tips that I've learned over the years that have helped me overcome this so-called writer's block and get words on the page. By the end of this video, you'll have those words flowing again and you'll be agreeing with me when I say writer's block is not real. Now, when I say writer's block isn't real, I'm kind of being hyperbolic. Of course, writer's block is real and that most writers have experienced this in some way or form. Even I've experienced it in the past. But recently, I've not really had writer's block. Or at least that's what I've been telling myself. Now, you kind of just have to gaslight yourself and trick your tiny monkey brain into believing that I'm not blocked and that I'm not writing for some other reason. If you tell yourself you have writer's block, you're not going to write. So the trick is to just say you don't have writer's block and that you're just taking a break or some other lie you want to tell yourself. But the key is you have to trick your brain into believing that you're not blocked. Because if you admit that you're blocked, then you will get blocked. So don't get blocked. I know I've said blocked a lot of times, but get it in your heads that writer's block, it's not real. It's not real. Now, before I get into the tips that helped me overcome writer's block in the past, it's crucial to identify the reasons why you are blocked, because there are reasons. You didn't just stop writing for nothing. Now, there are usually a couple of common reasons why people get blocked. Some of these are perfectionism, where a writer is constantly going over their words and thinking that they need to constantly tweak things and add something here and change sentence structure here. You really don't want to get hung up on stuff like that. Your first draft is not going to be perfect. And that's usually where writer's block happens. You want to focus on getting words on the page and editing later. Another common cause of writer's block is lack of inspiration. Maybe you just don't have that many ideas, or you had a single idea and started writing your story and then hit a wall. To combat this, you just want to look at other places for inspiration. Maybe there's a book that's similar to yours that you could read and pull ideas from. Maybe you can watch a movie that's also similar to your idea and pull ideas from that. Inspiration can come from anywhere. You just have to find it. Another common cause of writer's block is burnout. If you're a writer or even a creative in any sort of way, you've probably heard of the term burnout. It's when you've worked so much that you literally burn yourself out and cannot even think about doing anything creative. You just want to lay in bed all day staring at your phone screen, doom scrolling on TikTok. All right, maybe that's just what I do, but to combat burnout is to pace yourself. Try not to give yourself too much to do in one day. Set reasonable goals so that when you hit them, you want to keep reaching your goals. But if you set lofty goals or give yourself unrealistic standards to hit every day, you're not going to want to write, and that's when writer's block sets in. Now that we've got the common causes of writer's block out of the way, let's get to the real tips of this video. One of the main things that you can do to combat writer's block is to just change your environment. If you're like me, you write in one single spot for the entire duration of your draft and you never move. Well, you should probably stop doing that. You don't even have to really leave your house. Just go to a different room. Maybe write in the living room on the couch, or maybe sit in your dining table and write there. You could even go outside when it's nice out and sit in a nice chair, get you a nice drink and a snack and write outside. Just changing your surroundings can open your mind to new ideas and break up the monotony of your routine, because routines can also lead to writer's block. While they're good for creating structure, they're bad for creativity most of the time. While you're writing a story, your life is a story too, and it's not a sitcom unless you want it to be. That'll actually be kind of cool, walking around with a laugh track behind me, though I'm not sure I would want them laughing at me. Either way, you want to change the setting and the scene every now and then. No one likes looking at the same thing or reading about the same setting in a book. The same thing should go for your life. Get up and go write somewhere. Maybe go to the park, or maybe check out that coffee shop that you've been driving past every day. The main idea is to just change up your routine and introduce your brain to a new setting. I promise you that this works. I've done it myself where I leave my house and go write at a coffee shop down the street, or I go to a nice park, or I just find a really cool place that helps me come up with ideas and just breaks up the monotony of my everyday routine. routine. My next tip is to find inspiration where you don't have any. Like I mentioned before, you might have started off your book idea with just one singular idea. Maybe you just had a setting in mind, or a character, or a single plot point. Now, initially writing your story with this one idea in mind can be really exciting, but as you guys may know, writing first drafts is not always exciting, especially when you get to that middle point. And that's usually when the ideas start to dry up. If you're like me, you usually plan out the beginning and the end of your story first. When you get to that middle part, that's when things start to dry up. The middle part is actually my least favorite part of the book to write, but it's probably the largest and most important part of your story. It's where the plot happens, it's where stories converge, and it's where characters do stuff. In order to get ideas for what your characters should be doing and how your story should be progressing, you're going to need inspiration. And good ways to get inspiration, like I mentioned before, are in other books, movies, comic books, any other form of medium that's similar to yours or has an idea that you want to take from. Use those to inspire your story. Good artists innovate, but great artists steal.
I love stealing. I love taking things.
I think that's how the quote goes. Either way, don't be afraid to steal things that you like. In this case, stealing is a good thing. Now, while you do want to use inspiration, you want to make it your own too. If you see an idea that you like, build upon it and add things that you think would make it better. If you see something you don't like, fix it in a way that makes it better in your eyes and add it to your story. Doing things like that can make your inspiration become more your own product and not a derivative of whatever you just read or watched. If the previous two tips are a bit too abstract for you, I have a more concrete one that you can implement right now, and it's called the Pomodoro method. If you've never heard of this, it's basically doing work for 25 minutes and taking a 5-minute break. You're probably wondering, how is this going to help me with my writer's block if I can't even write? And my answer to that is, for those 25 minutes, just write anything. It might not even be anything to do with your story, but the moment you start writing and getting words on the page, your brain is going to get used to it and it's going to start doing it more. The more Pomodoro method sessions you do, the more you're going to write. And the first draft is all about getting words on the page. Who cares if it's riddled with typos or none of it makes sense? You can fix it all in the edit. Those are words that writers live by. Fix it in the edit. A little thing I like to do with the Pomodoro method is at the end of my 25-minute session, I have a snack, or I go out and stretch, or I reward myself with something. Maybe I go play a game for 5 minutes, or maybe I do a chess match for 5 minutes. Give yourself an incentive at the end of that session that makes you strive to get to the end and encourages you to keep doing this sequence until you make it a routine. I know I said routines are bad earlier, but this specific routine is crucial if you want to be on a schedule and get a certain amount of words written every day. A suggestion for something to give yourself at the end of your session is maybe a gummy worm. Everyone loves gummy worm, or at least I do. My next tip is to abandon your project. Yep, you heard that right. If you're having writer's block, abandon your project, but not forever. You don't want to turn into George R.R. Martin now, do you? Or maybe you do. That'd be a good goal to strive for. But either way, don't abandon it for too long. When I say abandon your project, I just mean take a break, step away from it for a bit, work on something else, or don't do any work at all. Either way, take your eyes off of that project and don't think about it for a bit. Having this time to refresh and rejuvenate your writing brain can make it that much better when you return to it at a later date. However long you want this break to be is really up to you. But if you're in a time crunch, maybe just take a week off, or maybe 2 weeks. But if you can afford the time or have other projects to work on, you could take even longer breaks. And by the time you return, you'll be back with fresh eyes and even more ideas. Now, my next tip for combating writer's block is a little controversial, especially in the writing space. But if you've made it this far in the video, I feel like it's my duty to share this tip with you. And the tip is to use AI for your writing. Yep, you heard that right. Use AI. Now, I know what you're going to say. AI is evil. AI is stealing jobs. AI is going to rise up and murder us all and take over the planet. And you might be right in thinking that, but you also might be looking at AI from the wrong lens. While AI is definitely being used to replace people and carry out creative tasks when it definitely shouldn't, AI can also be used as a tool to enhance your own creativity and make your workflow easier. For example, you can use ChatGPT to flesh out plots you already have and to give you ideas based on things that you have already written down. For example, I type my chapter outlines into ChatGPT and I have it structure it in a way that makes more sense and helps me write faster. I don't use ChatGPT to write anything, but I use it to help make my workflow more efficient and to organize all of my information. You can also use ChatGPT to give you ideas that might suit your story or to help you with character plots and character changes or all kinds of things. You can even workshop titles and blurbs in ChatGPT. The possibilities are really endless. Think of ChatGPT as a second brain or an assistant, but not as another author, because that's what you don't want to do. You do not want to use ChatGPT to write your book. I cannot stress this enough. People hate it. I hate it. Readers hate it. We don't want to read a book written by a robot. We want to read a book written by you.
Can a robot write a symphony? Can a robot turn a canvas into a beautiful masterpiece? Can you?
So write that book and just use the AI as an assistant. If you utilize all the tips that I've included in this video, I promise you that you'll never experience writer's block again, because writer's block is not real. I doubt any of you guys said that with me, but it sounded cool in my head. If you enjoyed this video and you found these tips helpful, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I've been LD Jones, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.